Good day, lords and ladies, and welcome to a Cornish first look at Sword of the Stars for Pits 2, the latest game in development from the developers of the Sword of the Stars franchise. This one is basically an update to Swords, as you can tell, Sword of the Stars for Pit 2, or the Pit 1 it's an update of, bringing 3D graphics, and a whole host of other things that they're saying they will bring down the line during development. The main feature of the Pit 2, or Sword of the Stars 2, whatever you want to call it, is the upgrade from going from basically being a traditional roguelike aesthetic, basically having a 2D aesthetic, to being full on 3D. This is still in early access, extremely early access, I will say, and I was given the opportunity to have a look at this game just to sew it off and to get feedback, to give feedback on it. So we'll dive right in. You can find Sword of the Stars and all the DLC and the Pit Infinity, which is another game in the franchise from the developers, all on Steam. I'll put a link in the description below. Sword of the Stars is considered to be like one of the quintessential roguelikes of all time. Sword of the Stars Pits is considered to be one of the quintessential roguelikes PC games of all time, and Sword of the Stars was the board game that started it all off. Basically went to a board game, then it became a roguelike computer game, then it became, with the Pit Infinity, it became like a first-person shooter of the first game. Which was basically, you had a first-person perspective. It was pretty good. I've played it on my channel. I'll put a link into I'll put a link into the description below for those who are interested in seeing Pit Infinity. It's a very good game, but I'm just going to sew a bit of gameplay off, and we'll get right down to it. Now, in the first game, I believe you had between like 12 or 13 different classes you could play. A lot of them came through DLC. The base game historically normally always had like 5, if I remember exactly. And each one works very differently. They have different stats and different skills. Marine is very much just like combat, very good at fighting. But that's pretty much about it. Engineers are very good at repairing equipment and like broken down machinery. I find engineers are actually a fairly good class early on for survivability, because they allow you to get access to resources quite easily by being able to repair equipment. Scouts are fairly good. In the original game, in the Sword of the Stars Pit, in the original game, Scouts were useful for like getting around and having a bit more like generalized skills rather than the Marine or the Engineer that was specialist. Sergeant Gunny is a returning character. Sergeant Gunny is a character. He's basically your drill instructor in the first game, in Sword of the Stars Pit 1, I suppose you want to call it. He is basically the person who basically gives you your instructions during the tutorial, and you could unlock him in both Sword of the Stars and the Pit Infinity as playable characters. For now, we are going to play the Marine to sort of show off the combat. I mean, actually, probably play the medic, not the medic, the engineer. They have said more classes will be added. This is, as I have said, really early access, so there's not a lot of classes or variety at the moment. Because normally you have stuff like engineer, you have like stuff like medic and a whole bunch of other things, and you've got like all like the alien races that get added as well. And then you have stuff like psychic power classes and all these kind of things that will be added. I presume they will be added because they were added into the Pit Infinity. So hopefully they will bring that over into this one. So let's just play an engineer. there was normally a bit of narrative at the start. I might have to have restarted it, but this is like the basic premise of any. Well, the basic premise of the Sword of the Stars of Pit games is that you're trying to get to the bottom of this complex to find basically a cure. Like in the first game, it was a cure for a pandemic. You were trying to get to the bottom of the complex to find a cure for a really nasty pandemic. In this one, I won't spoil it. I will allow all of you, the players, to basically figure out for yourself what the mission is. There's a lovely little intro, like dialogue thing that tells you what's going on. Character statistics, all these kind of things. If you hover over them, tells you what's going on. What these play into. As you can see here, by hovering over your core statistics, it lights up the boxes where they basically play a part in. So, for example, brain, 1/5 of this value is applied to all the following skills. So yeah. So down here, your total amount plays into your course, into these abilities that you have. And then we have stuff like crafting. So this game has a very important crafting system. Inventory with items in here, where you can equip them. So for those who are familiar with the first game, this shouldn't come as a surprise. It's pretty much one for one as the first game was, just with a graphics increase. Not that it is a bad thing, but it is just what it is. So you move with the the AWSD keys. Trying to remember how to go. Come on. You can see there's something there. And it's a rock rat. You get experience. You have hunger, you have health. And it is, for all intents and purposes, it is very much your standard roguelike game. So you kill things, you pick up materials, you try and supply, you have a map up in this corner, you have the floor that you're on. As I said, the game is still fair in really early access. Yeah, we took some damage, unfortunately. The condition of our knife is going down. As you can see here. And there's a rat nest. Our armor's taking a bit of a battering, unfortunately. Yeah. There's a rat nest down here. We are taking some damage from poisons. Unfortunately, as it stands right now, I haven't been able, because there used to be a feature where you could basically see what conditions and health you had, but not everything has been implemented yet. So there are still some things that need to be applied. Okay, so going around this room. I'm pretty sure that means it's booby traps at the red door.
Thing.
And you. Horrible monsters. Didn't even realise that was there. Really low on health.
Damned thing!
So no, this is one of the games you can't ever get a lot of talking in because there's always horrific things going on. But yeah, this is the general feel of the game. You harvest resources, you try and get to the... It acts very much like your traditional... roguelike. So what did we get? Some ammunition. Okay. Damaged locker. So do we have something that we can use on it? We found some items. Fantastic. And we leveled up. Duct tape for repairing equipment. So this, for those of you who are familiar with the first game, all I will say is that it plays pretty much exactly like Sword of the Stars, the Pit 1 plays. This is predominantly just a graphics. If I'm being honest, from what I've played so far, it runs exactly like the first game. The only thing that's different is that the graphics have been greatly improved. We've gone from basically being 2D with sprites to basically having 3D models. And we've got some skill points we can put in. Let's get brains up. Brains is important for stuff like engineering. Yeah. Like might is okay. Actually, might is actually for mechanical as well. So let's get that up, and let's put a couple of points into might and get might up. And we've got a couple of skill points left over. Skill points used to repair mechanical things, devices, lockpicking, unlock stuff. As you can tell, if you have skills that are low, they cost more to basically get up. Computers, foraging. Let's see. Decipher is important because it allows you to read languages. A lot of the recipes that you'll find down here will be on terminals in alien languages. So a good way to get crafting recipes which make powerful things is to have good deciphering. The Scout, I believe, if I remember exactly from the first 2 games, the Scout tends to have a good level of deciphering and has good foraging as well. That's one of the benefits of having the Scout, is that it allows you, especially early on, allows you to scavenge a lot of supplies. So we have 6 points. Let's go with knife is always good early on, but let's start putting points into rifles. Rifles are some of the best weapons in the game, especially if it plays out similarly to the first game. I haven't played very far into this. I played down a few flaws, but if it plays out to I remember, rifles are a pretty powerful class. Assault thrower, I think so as well. If I remember exactly, the rifle and the assault thrower are some of the best. Assault weapon. Sorry, assault thrower. What am I talking about? No, assault weapon. I think that counts stuff like shotguns and like stuff like submachine guns in the previous game. But rifles are predominantly like the way to go if you wanted to sort of get good with something. You can only put over one upgrade in at ever one time. You can't like multiple stack stuff. So let's put engineering is quite high. Our computers is quite high. Let's go mechanical because we want to get that up. Oh no, okay, yeah. Yeah, so let's get mechanical up. Knife early on is okay. Stealth is not great. Yeah, it's going to cost us 2 to get any of these up, which is always expensive. Let's go with computers, and then we'll go with pistols. Yeah. So we're okay. So we've leveled up. But like I said, this game is in early access. So expect a lot more to be added in the coming updates. Stepped on something and burnt to death. Okay. It's still on fire? Okay. You can see here when you do an attack, you have the log plays out here. So you can have it up and down if you wish. Like I said, this game is still in really early access. You have a break. If you hover over the weapons, you have a breakdown of what they do. It's like I said, like there's not a lot for me to say, predominantly because this game is what it does. I mean, we can repair our equipment. If it gets low enough in condition, we can repair it for it costs durability. I've always liked Sword of the Stars. The first game, Sword of the Stars: The Pit, was something I always really enjoyed. And I look forward to seeing what they can do. Okay, see here, if we hover over it, rotten pile, 70 to 90% chance of foraging because of our skill. So what did we get? We got some raw meat of dubious quality. And in here you can see some of the aliens that you're going to meet later here. It's definitely booby-trapped. Ooh, what did we find? Stale bread. There is ways that you can treat stale bread. I suspect that, like the previous 2 games, the crafting recipes will carry over. What was that? Eggs. The crafting recipes will carry over from the previous game. So if you're familiar with the previous game and the crafting recipes and those ones, they should apply here. And we are looking for the elevator. And that's mine. Let's try and disarm it. We have enough skill to do it. We get experience. You get experience for doing everything in this game, from repairing things to killing creatures to doing checks. It all adds up. Ooh. Tarka Warbread. Very nice. Have to keep an eye on the durability of our pistol. And we've got a sandwich. This is very useful. You really have two trackers you have to keep, well, two metrics you have to keep track of, meters you have to keep track of, which is basically health and hunger, and they tick down. And if your hunger runs out, you are in serious trouble because you start taking damage. It's a ruined crate. Unfortunately, we can't repair it. Now we just have to find the elevator and leave. Wherever that may be. Here we go. And we are clear of the level. Next floor. And here we are on the next floor. And this is how the game progresses. You clear a floor and you go down. Sometimes, especially the later into the game you get, the more you just want to rush. The more you want to basically bypass floors. Just finding the elevator. No, I don't want to get it. I want to leave. Okay. Our food is getting a bit low. So let's get our food back up. You can zoom out of the mouse wheel as well, by the way, if you want to. The sound we just made has probably attracted enemies. That's not good. That stepping on that mine will have really ripped up our suit. Oh, there we go. I wonder. Let's see if we could do something in the first. In the first game, you could basically, the more you encountered,
Slow.
and then we run into one of those and just die straight away. Moon bear. Moon bears are elite enemies. This is the thing about the game. Sword of the Stars, especially Sword of the Stars, the pit was something that you had to be aware of. Is that sometimes you just ran into elite enemies that were spawned high up in the dungeon, and they literally just killed you. Like that bear dropped me in 2 hits. But that's just how the game is. As on for the options, fairly basic things. You can turn on click mouse to move, auto reload. We have the development team here. You have the resolution, limit frames, VSync, all kinds of stuff. Audio is pretty standard as well. And you have the controls here, interactions, nearest target, all that kind of jazz. One thing I would say is that I would like there to be a tutorial. They'll probably will add it later on. As I said, this game isn't really early access. So a lot of things will probably be added down the line, a lot of quality of life stuff. You can see here movement, interaction, and right or left click on the object. But it's worth checking out. Like, if you're a fan of roguelikes, Sword of the Stars is, or Sword of the Stars of Pit, I should say. Sorry, because Sword of the Stars was the board game that this was based on. Sword of the Stars of Pit is a classic roguelike. And this seems to be of following in the similar vein. For all intents and purposes, it is Sword of the Stars for Pit, just with a really heavy graphical update. So I like it. I think it's a good game. I've always liked the Sword of the Stars franchise, and I hope you guys check it out. It's still in really early access. My advice would be, if you want a more complete experience, maybe pick up Sword of the Stars for Pit 1, and wait for this to have a bit more development time put into it. Because you get a lot more content and a lot more bang for your buck, as they say, with the first game. But this one looks like to be a really good successor. Hopefully it will be. It's one of these things. This is one of the things of early access. It's always hard to tell early on. But this looks like to be a good title. I will see you all again next time. Please like and subscribe. It helps me a lot. I've been Cornish-knight, and this has been Sword of the Stars of the Pit 2. Goodbye, folks.